Hey guys, it's Jack here, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to team fight as an ADC. Team fighting is an extremely important aspect in League of Legends. It's essentially where the game is won and lost. I see a lot of people asking me why they always seem to lose the game after they win their lane, and team fighting probably is a big factor in this. As an ADC, there are two rules you have to follow to be able to team fight well. 1. Stay alive no matter what. 2. Do as much damage as possible. The number 1 rule goes way over the number 2. You don't want to die for some extra damage. Your most important priority should be to just stay alive. In order to stay alive, you have to do a couple of things. First, target selection. You want to hit the target closest to you that has the most damage. So if a Victor, for example, and a Maokai is in your auto attack range and in the safest range that you can hit them, then you want to hit the Victor because he has more damage than the Maokai. However, if there's only a tank in your range, then you don't want to step up and maybe die for it. You just want to hit the person that's closest to you. Also, if the enemy team has a very fed Zed or a champion that has mostly cooldown gated damage, wait for them to use their cooldown before you play aggressively. It's a lot better to play a bit too safe and lose out on a couple of autos than get one shot by the Zed because you didn't think he could one shot you that fast. I discussed this a lot in my zoning control video, so if you missed out on that video, check out the video in the description or click the video icon on the screen. This is extremely important, and even more so if you're fed. However, these basic principles don't work in very high elo. Eventually, when you'll just try to hit the person closest to you and pay no other things mind, you'll come to a peak in performance and you'll probably lose a lot of games, even though you're not losing lane. I also had a bit of a problem with this, because team fights at a higher level are a lot more methodical than just hitting the target closest to you. If we take a look at a few LCS team fights and even higher than that, like Worlds, as I'll do in this video later, you can see that a lot of the ADCs play very aggressively. This is done to either get free damage off, or you can bait out other people's engage. An example of this is how you can flash Malphite's ult to make him very vulnerable and an easy kill. You can also bait and Zed in by dashing into him and then flashing out and getting a lot of damage in, and also then killing him without being killed yourself. It's a lot about knowing all the information about the other champions and analyzing them and making the right decision according to it, and also having the mechanics to play out the team fight correctly. There's a lot of things that goes into a team fight, and while there are a lot of things that you can do and just studying the team fight, you also have to have the mechanics to play it out and play it correctly. A mechanical fumble can definitely lose you the fight and the game. An important part to also consider is which champion you're playing. Your team fighting ability will depend massively on which champion you're playing. For example, if you're playing Lucian or Ezreal, you want to team fight very differently than if you were playing Jinx or Kog'Maw. If you're playing Lucian or Ezreal, you might be able to dash in or dash out and play it a lot more aggressively than you would with, for example, Jinx or Kog'Maw, where you just have to essentially try to stand back and wait for them to use their abilities before you can start auto-attacking. Essentially, teamfighting can be broken down into two phases. One is the hit the tanks phase, and the other is kill the backline phase, or the cleaning up phase. For example, right here, Bang sees that Gorilla is out of position, so he immediately flashes for the kill. And being able to realize which phase you can initiate is very important. Being able to switch phases like this and just knowing when to engage onto the right target is very important and requires a lot of practice. Now I'm going to be analyzing a Worlds game between SKT and Rox. This is an extremely high level team fight, probably the highest it gets, and I want to discuss Prey's positioning in this fight. Prey is a very good ADC and he plays this fight very well. He comes in late to the fight, and the fight is, and they're down in numbers. SKT has 4 people alive, while at this point, Rox only has 2. So it's a 2 versus 4. and SKT wants to chase Rocks down and kill them. However, Peanut hits a Q on Blank, and Prey lands a good W on all 3 of the members. Here is where the fight turns around. Prey does an extremely aggressive flash in, and essentially just kills the Caitlyn as fast as possible. This is the sort of thing that I wouldn't recommend lower elo people to do, because most of the time you're probably just going to flash in and die. But this is the sort of thing that you have to be able to do to be able to play League at the highest level and be able to teamfight at the highest level. Here, Prey knows that they can't kill him, and he knows that if he can just get Caitlyn killed, then he can win the fight. And after that, it's essentially a 3v1 whilst Peanut's GA is down. And Blank makes a mispositioning area where he goes on to Prey while Duke is moving upwards. So Prey can easily finish off Blank. And here, Faker wants to try to kill Prey. However, Prey walks over Faker's Q and is able to pick him up easily. And after that, they're able to pick up Duke easily as well. Just being able to play this aggressively and really knowing your limits and the enemy's limits are a huge part of team fighting at a very high level. You have to know when you can engage and when you can do a direct engage, and you also have to be sometimes willing to wait and sometimes be willing to pull the trigger. A lot of this is just practice and looking at team fights and realizing how strong the enemy champions are and how strong you are in comparison. Another example is right here, where Bang is playing Lucian against CJ. Right here, Bang's able to play extremely aggressive because space is dead, and that essentially makes it so they almost have no damage threat with Gragas, Gnar, and Thresh. And he also zoned out Ziggs by just being in the near vicinity, and he's able to essentially play ADC like a flanking assassin, just because of the fact that they have a numbers advantage and the fact that the priority targets of CJ are down. He's able to just clean up the team fight, and he has a good dodge on Thresh's hook, and is able to essentially just kill everybody and clean it up. Being able to realize when you can just clean it up like this and when you can dash in is something that requires a lot of practice, and I'm pretty sure you've all seen the clip where Double Lift E's in with Lucian into a Victor and just instantly dies. That a lot of those things will happen when you try to play it so aggressively, but you have to be able to do these sort of things to really be able to take over a game in the team fighting phase. You have to be able to play it so aggressively, and you also have to be patient with it, which is why I wouldn't recommend really the lower elo players to really just dash in and do these sort of flashy plays. Like, you first have to get really good at this to be able to do it, but just using the complete basics and just hitting the tank won't really work as well, at least when you're getting higher and higher in ranks, and you have to be willing to make these flashy plays, and you have to be a bit more creative with it, and you have to get better at methodically playing the team fight out. But yeah, that's pretty much been it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. I spent a lot more time on this video than I did with any of the others, and I really wanted to improve the criticism that I got from the other video. So if you guys enjoyed, please like the video, and if you didn't, dislike, tell me why you didn't like it. I want to get better at this, you know? And if you want to see more, subscribe. It really helps, and all the feedback I've gotten recently has been really amazing, guys. Thank you so much. We're currently at 1.3k subscribers. Thank you, guys. I love you. Peace.